What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Meet the Critters. This is episode 10. So today we're taking another little detour in the podcast. We are not focusing on meat. We've got Jon Dowie on from Dowie Farms, basically my internet neighbor. We live in the same state, so that basically qualifies us for that. He is going to be on. We're going to talk about his microgreen setup, but he also does raise some poultry, so we'll probably get into that. So let's go ahead and pull Jon up. Jon, what's going on?
How are you, man?
Doing all right.
Good.
Who's Jon?
Who's Jon? I don't know. It's always a tough. I should be ready for this, but Jon needs to shave. Now that I'm looking at myself, but yeah, I'm just running a very small farm in Derry, New Hampshire, mostly catering to restaurant sales, and we do microgreens primarily. But I do have, like we talked a couple of weeks ago about doing a show on, I think it was on ducks or chickens or something like that.
Yeah.
And I actually have 30 something years with poultry. So
that's awesome.
And
then
so
we'll definitely get into some of that too, for sure.
It's pretty far across ducks, chickens, and quail. I've never been too on the meat side. That's the thing. So that's why it's here I am on the meat podcast, and I grow.
Hey, we're all inclusive. We're all inclusive.
Yeah, I grow vegetables for hippies, and I raise birds for eggs. But no, I'm originally from upstate New York, up near Oswego, New York, is where my hometown is. I escaped that place in 1998, and opted to be homeless for a little while, basically. And then I went and. Oh man, I moved all over New England. I went to college in just outside of Boston for like a hot minute, and then and then went and lived in Rhode Island for 5 or 6 years, and apartments or whatever. And then moved up to work. Brought me up to New Hampshire. Well, I could have worked sort of like I worked in Massachusetts, but I refused to live there. So
as you should.
Yeah, even before I knew any better. So
you just had good common sense.
Yeah, I was like, oh, looks much cheaper to live up there. So I came up here and settled in southern New Hampshire because I worked in Massachusetts, so it was just easier that way.
Right.
Learned some lessons in that fiasco too. But and then I was running restaurants for most of that time. I spent a long time, 20 something years, 23 or 4 years in restaurants, and then got out in 2017 full time. Got out of management in 2014. And in 2017 got out. But in 2010, we bought a house and got back into the farming. I was always into the outdoor stuff. Grew up around dairy farms. I grew up with, ducks and stuff and my own.
Right.
And gardening a lot. And like my dad was a very kind of ahead of his time, sort of. Or, there was always organic farming right through the 60s and 70s and stuff.
Right.
And they called it that and everything, but he kind of there weren't a lot of people doing it though, it's just people had gardens,
Right. No one really thought about it.
Yeah, he knew some of the weird advanced stuff like puree a bug in a misting bottle and spray plants with it because the essence will deter I guess that same bug or something. He knew that stuff in the 80s, so there was that. And then just grew up around a lot of farming. Bigger dairy farming in upstate New York and whatnot,
right?
And and hay and apple orchards and all that stuff that I will not do now. And, so now we farm 0.7 of an acre plus 1,000 square feet of indoor space.
Wow,
and, that's it. And it's 13 miles between the two places, which sucks, but is what it is.
Right.
Second story where I am right now, so. All the fucking dirt has to go. Oh, I swore already. Are we far enough into you?
I know. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm gonna swear a lot. So
listen, we're on episode 10.
Okay, if you kind of know
watching, I'm hoping for 4. So.
Okay, if you kind of know me, that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
So, upstairs, all the bags of soil come up on these shoulders, and all of it goes over the side of the railing into a trailer via gravity. But so. Here we are. We do microgreens full time. It's kind of an interesting thing because, I was since 2010 we bought the house.
Right.
It's basically we bought a house in 2010, and I was like, we need to have a garden. So, and I thought I needed a tiller, which I've learned since I don't even do that anymore, even though I do now own a tiller. But I wanted a tiller, and we started going to stores, and I walked into a Tractor Supply in Derry, and the doors slid open. So we bought our house in March. Yeah, it's not a bad one. We bought our house in March like 21st or something. And on like April 10th, maybe, we walked in and the doors slid open, and I immediately went, there's baby ducks in here. Like I instantly could smell them. And my wife was like, what do you, now she'd only ever known me in apartments, you know?
Right.
And like I fished and stuff and whatever. But I was like, oh no, there's baby ducks in this building. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, follow me. I'll find them. So I like found them.
You just sniff them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, baby duck shit is a very specific smell.
It totally is. And so of course she was like, oh my God, they're amazing. You know, because they're the cutest thing ever when they're that little. Right.
Right.
And at that time in New Hampshire, there was this weird law where you had to buy 12 of any piece of poultry. Yeah. It was very short-lived law. I guess it was a law. Now, this is like just me going off what I was told. So there's that. It definitely was a law. But the reasoning behind it was, I guess people like in Manchester would buy a duck for a pet and keep it in a shitty little apartment. And it was a shit show. So eventually they were like, no, stop that. So, and then it was funny to me because they told me I had to buy 12. Because I was going to buy 2 ducks right there. Right. And they were like, no, you have to buy 12. And I'm like, well, I don't want 12. I have not even an acre. And I don't have time for that shit. I just want 2. And they were like, we can't, sorry. And I was like, why? And they're like, well, it's a law. And because if you only take 2 ducks, they're not, they don't generate enough body heat to stay warm. And I'm just like, you're telling the wrong guy the wrong bullshit.
Right.
Like, don't get out of here.
The bullshitter on this one.
Yeah, you can fucking mail 2 ducks through the U.S. Postal Service and they don't get too cold, you know? Like,
right.
So I didn't get them. I went across the street to Blue Seal and they had ducks. They had 2 ducks. And I was like, what's up with that? I thought you had to be able to sell 12. And the guy was like, we're going to have to kill them because we have to sell 12 and we'll get caught maybe. And I was like, well, can you give them away? And he's like, oh, probably. So they gave them to us. And that's, there goes with the ducks. So at one point, this is irresponsible, what I'm going to say next. I don't recommend it. On 7/10 of an acre. Now that's the whole property. So obviously there weren't ducks everywhere, although there could have been. We had 120 egg laying ducks at one point. I don't recommend doing that. It's a whole lot of a whole lot of wood chips and a whole lot of shoveling, and a lot of, it's a pain in the ass. And we kept it. I mean, there were obviously, like, when you get 2-3 weeks worth of rain, you know, the next, and then you get the sun.
I can smell that.
Yeah.
Like I can just.
Yeah, and that was when it was a real issue. But we were pretty good. Like if we didn't get that crazy, you know, like we're getting right now, this fucking monsoon season we're getting.
It's nuts.
I hate it. If we didn't get it like this, we wouldn't have any smells, you know? So,
right.
And if we did get that smell, it would be, you know, a couple days and then we'd be on it. So we were pretty good at that. But it was just it's not something you want to do.
No.
Yeah. We're still
I was in that boat for a little bit. We lived in Kingston. When I moved in with my wife.
Right near us. Yeah.
Yeah. Right there. I was living there when I was working in Londonderry.
Mm-hmm.
But she had like 1/3 of an acre in this, like, right on one of the ponds there. It was essentially a cottage that they turned into, like, all right, now this is an actual house, even though it was so goddamn tiny. I think it was like 650 or 700 square feet. The house was right in the middle. After I was there for about a year, I was like, let's get chickens. She was like, all right. And we bought one of those prefab 16-foot long sheds. And then I had a 16 by 20 foot corner. And that was like my corner of the yard. We cut the shed, or like walled the shed in half, had a brooder on one side and like a workshop, and then a chicken coop on the back. Built a big run out of everything. At one point there, we had, I think it was right around 60 birds in that 16 by 20 foot area.
Wow.
Between egg-laying birds, quail, and meat birds.
You had your own little CAFO.
Dude, it was insane.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But like, it was manageable. Like, it wasn't awful. When we did meat birds, it sucked because we did meat birds at Hutch's. Like, so I had like the concrete mixing tubs underneath them, and I'd have to empty them out and bring them to a farm down the road. And it was
where in Londonderry? I'm in Londonderry now. Where
I worked at Mr. Steer.
Oh, no shit. We talked. Did we talk about this?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, because I worked at Stumble Inn.
Oh yeah,
we would get all our meat from you.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know if he still does, but so
I don't know. That place is interesting.
Yeah.
You were living. We could do a whole nother podcast on that.
On the Stumble Inn?
No, on Mr. Steer.
Oh wow. Okay.
But no, yeah. So I know it's like when
I'm still doing local business down here, so let's not do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. I promise. That's after. No, so but like when you're going through all that, when it's like, when it's rained for 5 days straight and you haven't been able to go clean the pens, I can like viscerally smell that. And now I do pigs, so that's intensified by 10. Like,
it's its own smell. Yeah. Interesting. So like, we got 2 and that was fine. And then I built like, so growing up with ducks, we had 3 acres, and I think at one point, maybe I had like 20 or 30, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. And they were in a big like fenced area. It was probably 20 by 40 or so.
Nice.
And I had hand dug a pond that with like a channel to the swamp, like that. Well, it was kind of a running creek, but right where it turned into a swamp, I just got it off right there. Right. And they had a good little setup, except for at the time in upstate New York, the predator pressure was absurd. So like in the 80s and 90s in Oswego County, New York, at least, I can't speak for all the other counties, there were like no valuable wildlife species, right? So there were deer. That's fine. That's it. Like we would go rabbit hunting. There were like some rabbits. We'd go pheasant hunting. There were like no pheasant. There were no turkeys. There were no, which nothing is nuts. Good. All there is fucking turkeys now, right? But there was nothing, and there was a shitload of coyotes and fox and whatever. I don't know what happened there. I wasn't in tune enough as a kid to know what disrupted the ecosystem there as far as animals went. But it was way out of fucking whack. So what would happen is, I mean, I would be, I was like 14, and you'd wake up in the morning and you'd hear the ducks freaking out, and you'd grab the 22 and open the bathroom window and just start firing at a coyote through the bathroom window with I had a Marlin Model 50, and it was, it's tube fed semi-auto. The shells are just bouncing around in the bathroom, and and there's gunpowder smoke in the bathroom, and you're, the coyotes. And man, we would lose birds every night there. It was bad. At the time, though, I didn't know what I was doing. So we were chicken wire fence, my fence posts were probably too far apart because it would sag. And I thought the problem was that the coyotes could jump over this 4 or 5 foot fence. That's the problem. So I ran baling wire, or whatever we call that. What us farmers used to literally fucking fix everything. Those coils of wire.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to, real quick aside, my mechanic replaced the transmission in my truck like 2 years ago. Yeah. And he goes, "Do you know that your shifter cable is held on with wire?" Like, of course I knew that. I did that. So it held for years. I just wrapped that wire around it because it kept falling out. But anyway, we would just lose everything: raccoons, weasels, coyotes, fox, neighbors' dogs. So I've dealt with all these predator issues. So when we got these first 2 ducks, I built this like fortress, 6-sided, 16 by 12, hardware mesh, all 6 sides, top, bottom, and 4 sides, right? The only way in was the top opened and 2 giant doors. Okay. Like I still own this thing. It's wild. I call it the fortress pen. So like I always said, like, hey, if we ever had any real predator issues, I can save like 12 birds in that pen. Well, I could probably save like 30 really, but comfortably 12 could live in there for a long time, So, but I way over prepared for where I live now. Where I lived at the time, like there was nothing apparently. I also have a very weird spot, like where the west property line is a river, and the north of us is swamp, and south of us is swamp, and east is like 2 neighbors and then a mountain thing. and like nothing gets to me, you know.
Right. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, now we have a Great Pyrenees, so nothing anything that gets to me fucking dies is all I know. Like, yeah. So
my Great Pyrenees is looking at me right now, wanting to go out. But
nice. Yeah, they're the best. Aren't they the best? Yeah, mine hates the rain too. She's like,
oh no, he's dying to get out there in it.
Oh,
then I deal with a walking shag carpet for 130 pounds of stupid.
Yeah, so mine's a little one. I have like Maggie's like 85-ish pounds. Poorly trained livestock dog is what she is. Yeah. So she's got the doggy door, but she'd prefer to stay with us. You know.
Oh yeah, no. Bear over here, he's a couch guardian dog. For
sure.
Exactly.
And yeah, she doesn't bother the ducks. She doesn't kill them, and she will kill anything else. So, you know, mission accomplished. But
right,
unless she's sleeping at the end of the bed in the middle of the night.
This is what an idiot I am. My wife was pregnant with our second kid, and we had just had to put down like 2 of our dogs, like dogs my wife had for her entire 15 years. Crazy. But she was pregnant, and a friend of ours bred Great Pyrenees, and I was like, well, let's get one. I was still working full time at the slaughterhouse, and I was like, I think I'm going to start raising like boar goats or something, or sheep that I like want a livestock guardian dog for.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Pulled the trigger and got him. And then they had an oops litter of border collie and border collie boxer mix puppies.
Okay.
And they're like,
yeah,
just take one. Like, just take it.
Is it buy one, get one free?
They were a month apart. And in my head, I'm going, awesome. This Great Pyrenees is going to be with our sheep or doing whatever, just making sure everything's safe. And I'm going to be able to train this border collie to work with me. Like, either here on the farm, moving cows or whatever we're moving, or like at work, if I'm on a slaughter, like out and I need an animal to come in, like, it'll be great. While my wife is pregnant and we have a newborn. So yeah, these 2 idiots, they have the best lives on the planet. They just stay in. They're the laziest working dogs ever.
I'll be like, yeah, I got a Great Pyrenees. She guards the property. And people are like, oh, send me a picture of her, you know, working, because people are interested in that. Yeah. And then I would go through my phone and I'm like, oh, I have no pictures of this dog doing anything.
No, this dog doesn't work.
Yeah, I just only have pictures of her like, oh, look, she's laying with her giant weird unicorn that I bought at Walmart for her to hump. You know,
the only thing this border collie does. So it's funny because, so his dad is also his grandfather kind of situation. And so the mom was border collie boxer because he had gotten into my buddy's mother-in-law's boxer, had those puppies, then push come to shove, everything happened. Yeah. So he is 3/4 border collie. So he looks just border collie, but he stands like a foot taller than a normal border collie because he's got the boxer legs. Mm-hmm. It's the funniest goddamn thing on the planet because everyone looks at him like, oh, border collie. Wait, like it takes a second.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. I saw one of those rumply Boston Terrier thing, one of those the big rumply head that can't breathe.
Yeah.
I saw one of those on the street in Boston the other day, and I feel bad for them, but I get why people breed them because you can't not pet them. You know what I mean? Like,
no, they're great.
Yeah, they're fantastic. But I go,
it's Buzz McKenzie, man.
Like, you
gotta pet that dog.
It kept laying down as I was talking to this dude, and I go, wow, he's pretty lazy, huh? And he goes, oh, he can't sit. And I was like, oh, yeah, because I don't know if any of them really can sit. Well, I know some can because I've seen it, but I think a lot of them can't even sit because of the shape, right? Or
That's
something.
So crazy.
Yeah, it couldn't sit. It could stand and lay down. And that was it. And when it laid down, its legs went out like a starfish.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
That's insane.
I'm like, that's why. It's actually, this dog's got an Instagram page. I wish I could remember.
Well, that's where it gets crazy when you look at like genetics and like how breds are bred. Like
it's not Bruno Mars because that's a guy, right?
Right.
It's like a music guy, but it's a play on that. Can't remember. Anyway. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Where's he going?
You won. Sick of hearing it.
Oh, the dog.
Yeah. No, but that's where it gets crazy. Like when you look at like how different breeds are bred and why domestic, like for like the pet trade gets so much crazier than anything that ever happens in the livestock. Like, yeah, there are some nutty ones like the Cornish cross and shit like that. That it's like if this thing goes a day over 8 weeks old, it's gonna snap its legs and die. Like, that's pretty nuts. But then you look at like a pug. What's that?
I just shared with you in the private chat the link to the completely unrelated to this show Instagram page for this dog that I met on the street.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it's unimportant. I can
I'll find it in a second.
I don't know how to share it in real comments, so I just put it in private. Bluto Mars, that's his name.
Bluto Mars. All right.
Yeah. But the dog is cute as shit. But anyway, this guy, he walks around Boston with this dog all day, and he was an interesting guy. He was my age, and he was like a punk rock guy. He's an interesting dude, and wicked nice guy. And he meets celebrities all the time because of this dog. Like, it's a great tactic if you think about it. If you have to live in a city, right?
Yeah, no,
get this dog.
Oh, that's true. All right, I get it.
Right? He's like, oh, here's a picture of me and the dog and Pedro Martinez, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, look at that. Like for those of you who don't watch baseball and don't live near Boston, it's a famous Red Sox pitcher from back in the day. Just so
that's so crazy.
I know what our audience
and that is so Boston. Like I'm like that might be the most Boston thing I've ever heard.
And it's Pedro,
some guy walking around going,
yeah. Anyway,
hey, I got this picture with Pedro with Spud McKenzie. It's pretty great,
right? Yeah, was Spuds that kind of? Vaguely remember Spuds, but you know what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking of the Red Dog. Remember the Red Dog?
No.
The beer Red Dog. You remember that?
No.
Yeah, that was fun. I used to drink a lot of that. Once upon a time, I could get a 30-pack in Rhode Island. I could get a 30-pack of Red Dog with tax and deposit, and I'd get 5 cents back with a $10 bill. So I would back
in my heavy drinking, I was working like 70 hours a week while all my friends were in school. So I'd flex. I'd buy Bud Heavy. I'd be like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just at the time, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
At the time, it was like, I got money. You some bitches don't. Let's fucking drink.
Yeah, we're not drinking. None of this fucking Busch Light. Get it out of here.
Bud Heavies. Let's go.
I love that your flex was Bud Heavy.
Yeah, that was it. That's as high as I went.
Your flex was like some beer that I never really drank. Like
every now and then I'd splurge for Dos Equis.
Oh shit. There we go. Now we're in. Yeah. Like I would
apparently we have the beer.
I have no beer.
It's down here in the chat.
I am not. I'm drinking. I'm trying out this new I am notorious in the survival podcast community for liking shitty hot dogs and bad coffee. So Yuban, Yuban, I don't know. It was on sale, and it's not bad. Never heard of it.
So I haven't drank in 2.5 years. So I was like, and literally at the end, I was still just like drinking Coors Light. Like I never went higher than that. I was fine with it.
I did the whole, because of restaurants, like I was big into porters and like stouts, Yeah. And but I was a Miller High Life PBR guy a lot too. Like so I would range on both ends of the spectrum, like really, really good porters or just Miller High Life, So it's actually really good though. It's funny. This coffee that I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Yuban, Yuban. I recommend it. It's actually good.
I jumped on the good coffee train.
Yeah.
From Scrambling up there.
Oh yeah. I've never had his coffee.
My God.
I'm a little embarrassed to admit that.
I will absolutely admit I fought it for so long.
Yeah.
And Brian from the Lots Project sent out a gift pack of like, all right, here's samples, here's a French press, stop being a douchebag. Since then, I have quit energy drinks.
No, that's good.
Like my production level has gone up tenfold, and I was like, it was just some weird mental thing where like all of a sudden I'm like, cool. I'm making changes, and it's all because of this coffee.
Yeah, right. Hey, whatever works, right? I quit energy drinks. Like, just I never really was like, oh, energy drinks all the time, but for a bit, like probably just before we had our son, he'll be 2 tomorrow.
Happy birthday!
Thanks. Yeah, on Father's Day. Way to ruin my Father's Day, kid.
Wow.
It's such an ironic statement.
That's such a child thing to do, is to ruin your day.
Yeah,
just
he's my only kid, so it's way more ironic. It's like, wow, you're ruining my Father's Day. Wait a minute. If you didn't have that kid, you wouldn't be a father. You know what I mean? But I was drinking, like, I can only do sugar-free energy drinks. I'm a type 1 diabetic. So I have to emphasize that I'm a type 1 diabetic. Anyway, so, not a donut-eating fucking asshole that has type 2 diabetics, just, diabetes, to just go for a fucking jog and stop eating donuts. So I have to go off on that every once in a while. Sorry.
No, I get it.
So
Joe down here likes your flag.
Oh, yeah, nice. I like that. I just Amazoned one day. If you go on Amazon and just look up funny or weird flags, you'll find all kinds of great shit. Like, I had to stop myself from spending like $500 on just all these different flags. Like, underneath that is Beavis with the AK, actually. Energy drinks. Yeah,
energy drinks. Yeah,
I was just drinking way too many of the sugar-free ones, and it does, like, they crash you. Even the sugar-free ones crash you.
Yeah. And those ones, I hate the sugar-free. I accidentally got a sugar-free one day, and I was like, this is poison. And I'm like, oh, wait, what I'm drinking is poison. This is just obvious poison. Because it has fake sugar in it.
Yeah, I've become accustomed to fake sugar a long time ago. So
I'm sure. My name's Kyle, so I'm genetically predisposed to energy drinks. It's in there. But no, like, towards the end, I was drinking like 50 ounces of Red Bull a day.
Yeah.
Like,
at
least.
God.
Oh, yeah. Like, 2 20s and a 16 usually.
That's
like,
crazy.
A day.
That's crazy. Like,
that wasn't even my worst. Like, when I was working, like, early 20s, when I was doing 60 hours a week in the cooler, just slinging steak tips and then drinking a 30 rack, I was crushing, like, 6 monsters a day.
Oh,
yeah, no, it's amazing my heart is still intact.
Yeah, even with a sugar-free, if I had 2, I was, like, dehydrated. But I also, I mean, I had some energy drinks in my 30s here and there, like occasional, long drive, whatever, 16-hour shift at the restaurant, that kind of thing. But this was like a year in my 40s where I was, oh yeah, I'll have these energy drinks, and because, like, coffee was jacking my fucking blood sugar up, even though I was just coffee with cream, like no sugar. That's the cortisol or something. I don't know. I don't actually know why, because you're gonna get a cortisol response from an energy drink too.
Right.
But for some reason, coffee was raising my blood sugar. Still does a little, not a lot, but just a little. It's fucking annoying. So I started drinking like the Bang energy drinks or whatever.
Yeah.
I never
got into those.
Yeah, just 0 carbs. And I was like, oh, this doesn't do anything to my blood sugar, so fine. Because, like, that's the battle I have to fight. So the no sugar, the fake sugar thing, I'm just like, whatever. Like, that's not what's going to take me. Like, I know what's going to take me. It's going to be, a long-acting insulin shot at fucking 2 a.m. that hits a vein and drops my blood sugar to minus 200. That's what's going to take me. It isn't going to be some fucking aspartame or whatever, So I'm okay. Like, I'll enjoy that. I got, like, if you handle type 1 diabetes correctly, you're on an elimination diet that basically leaves you at ribeyes and broccoli. Now, don't feel bad for me. I eat fucking ribeyes and broccoli all the time,
Right.
But, you don't get anything else. So unless you want to deal with shooting insulin all day long and dealing with the roller coaster, So, like, diet soda and, like, that kind of shit, that's going to happen, because, like, that's all I got left. It's not, now I should be man enough to fucking give all that shit up, frankly, but, like, I grew up in the fucking 80s. What do you want from me?
Yeah, I say that all the time. People look at me and they're like, because I smoke cigarettes too.
Naturally.
So people look at me like, you need to quit smoking. And I'm like, I've been sober for 2.5 years. I've got 2 kids and I run 2 businesses. I'm going to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, I'm going to have a thing.
Leave me alone.
I got to have a thing.
I'm also 31. Like,
Yeah.
Back off.
You got like 5 or 6 years, I think, before you quit smoking, right? Because that's like, it's like mid-30s. Most people quit like 38. They're done. They're like, everybody I know growing up, there was like a longshoreman or a farmer. They're like, I quit smoking and I was 37.
Yeah.
Like
It's right around there, because then it's like, then everything starts to level out of like, I'm still young enough. I can power through whatever the smoking is doing to me. But then as I get older, it just levels out. It's like, all right, well, now we need to stop that.
Rachel Brown talking about Red Bull and vodka.
Ooh.
Or Jaeger bombs. I'll tell you how to make a Jaeger bomb.
Oh. Man, I don't even know. I'm having an idea of just scrapping the whole livestock conversation, just having a fun podcast, because this is going way better.
You should have known, but having me on, there's going to be
I should have. There's going to be
no focus.
I decided I am going to tell this story.
Yeah.
So it was, let's see. Me and my wife went to Key West twice in 1 year. That's the beginning of that story. We went on our honeymoon, and then when we got back, her parents were like, hey, we're going to get an Airbnb, like a big house in Key West. Like, do you guys want to come? We had just gotten back, and we're like, absolutely. We'll sell everything in order to go back there. Like, it was great. So we went back. We had this nice little house. We got to walk everywhere. And to anyone who hasn't been to Key West, it's a 3-mile island with 264 bars in 2 miles. So
a couple, yeah.
It was pretty fun. So we had found like our spot for the week, and we had stayed there, and the bartender was just feeding me Red Bull vodkas.
Ooh.
And it was rough. We got home somehow, went to bed, and from what I have been told happened is I then woke up, proceeded to put my pants on, walk to the sliding glass door to try to open it, and my wife woke up and said, honey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom.
Yep.
And she's like, that's the balcony. I'm like, it's the bathroom. She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, all right. So then I proceed to walk to this weird little table in the corner of the room and start pulling out drawers. And she's like, now what are you doing? I'm like, this is a toilet. I saw it in a movie. And so she like very calmly like starts walking me to the bathroom. And she gets me in there and she goes, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Slam the door at like 4 a.m. Go back and lay down. And I wake up in the morning just like, what's up, babe? Like, vacation still. And she is on the other side of the bed just doing like, what? Do you know what you did last night? I'm like, what happened? But it's just like, I probably had 9 Red Bull vodkas, so I'm hammered. But there's just that Red Bull pumping that one cylinder. It's just keeping everything going.
Yeah, right. It's a good way to put it. That you're running on 8 usually, but you're on 1 cylinder.
Exactly. And
I
was banned from drinking Red Bull and vodkas. I was banned from drinking it all.
I had a few shifts at Hooters when I ran Hooters where I'd stashed a cherry vodka in the like a 3 Olives cherry bottle or something that we got for free from the liquor distributor or whatever in the beer cooler. And I was just making Diet Red Bull, whatever that one is, with cherry vodka, because if someone smells Diet Red Bull and cherry vodka on your breath, it doesn't smell like booze. No, it just smells like you've been chewing like bubble gum or something, or like sucking on one of those fucking lollipops that's cherry or whatever. You know what I mean? So like, I was shit bombed that whole shift, but like, and just walking around with a styrofoam Hooters cup that looked like I was drinking coffee, and just hitting that thing, and like, it was a good day. I was not happy with my job that day. Whatever. I'm still. Turns out, because I was a very good restaurant manager. Turns out my like 65% at that job was still better than most people's 100%. So.
Oh yeah, no, I've found that. I've found that before, where it's like, huh? Like, how are you doing worse when I was putting in 50%? Like,
ridiculous. Now I don't even know, because I just work for me and I have no idea what.
It's crazy, right? It's such a weird feeling of like,
it's fucking nuts. I've been
since no one here. All right.
Since like since we started this in 15, I think, and 17 I was full time.
Right.
So 2015 to 2017, and I hate saying the 20 thing or 2000. It's 15 and 17. God damn it! I didn't start this when I was 15 years old. No, so so it's, what is it now? 23. Yeah. So
yeah, 23.
What is it, like 6 years of this for just this, pretty much. Like
That's
I did.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I did a restaurant shift here and there at the Stumble Inn when during COVID, when he was kind of in a pinch, or something, and just after. But I haven't worked a restaurant shift in like a year and a half now, or almost 2 years, or something like. Actually, no, since before I had Alex. So, well, I didn't have him; my wife did. But
You
since
helped.
before I was there for a little while. So, like, it's been a couple of years. So that's good. That was crazy because I was like 15 when I first worked in restaurants, and then I went. So in 1995 or 1994, I worked my first shift in a restaurant, and I worked in restaurants 100% of the time until like 2014.
Right.
You know, it's like a while, and then I was, or no, Jesus, still 2016 or something. I don't know, whatever. 17, no, 7, yeah. And then I left the bar, and then here and there until 2021, roughly, or 2020.
I'm so happy. I'll never work retail again. I refuse. I will take a job out of the meat industry before I go back to retail meat cutting.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel on that.
It's a job I thought about sometimes. It's like I could go cut meat probably. But no.
It is
because the customers or something being annoying.
Yeah, the customer. It all depends on what you're doing, because I worked in the grocery stores for a long time, but I wasn't cutting. I was just packing and like casework and all that stuff. I was just a clerk, and that is a crazy world to live in.
Yeah.
But then I went to, the Whining Butchers, right?
What is it?
The Whining Butcher.
Where? What town?
There's one in Meredith, Guilford. There was one in Bedford, and there's one in Pembroke.
I don't think I probably know it, but I don't.
Yeah,
I don't go to these highfalutin meat places because I don't have money like that.
Well, that's why I've turned to calling them gourmet butcher shops. Like, because that's what I still got the shirts. I still wear them. They say gourmet butcher shop. I'm like,
it says that.
Yeah,
they get the same fucking meat as everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought. Like, because I'm a little privy to it, because having dealt with restaurants and then having dealt with the agricultural industry.
Oh yeah, it's all the same.
You know what I mean? You start going, wait a minute. There's no place where the specialty butcher shop is getting their meat from, like, unless it's a guy up the road.
No, it's all about what you do with it. Like,
yeah, it's like,
and we're not doing anything that crazy.
Yeah, like if you're buying ground beef at a local butcher shop and it's just ground beef, I mean, yeah, they might be grinding it in house or something, and they might be.
Yeah, and it depends on what like they're pulling in for their burger. Like we did shoulders, but then I remember like there were times where we were doing knuckles, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Wow.
Like,
that's fucked up. Yeah,
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
this was years ago. It holds nothing about what they are now.
Yeah,
for anyone who's
so Stumble In was grabbing the flap meat or whatever to make their steak tips, and I was during COVID when I had a little bit of time on my hands because we obviously weren't really selling to restaurants. I was swinging by picking up their trimmings because the cooks there were really fucking bad at trimming the skin and the meat and the fat. Right? So it was like 50-50, meat to whatever. And I was like, oh, save all that for me. I feed it to my dog. Yeah, okay. And then I bring it home and I just fucking grind it.
Right.
And like I had like 60-40 ground beef, which I'm all about, And I had that at some point. I had like 300 pounds of ground beef in my fridge. It was nuts because they sell so many steak tips at that place.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like I would get, 30 fucking pounds a week from them of trimming, and just it was the best. And I was like, wow, if this could last the rest of my life, I'll never buy groceries again because I'll just eat this,
Right.
And I was feeding some of it to the dog, but at some point I had
300 pounds.
Yeah, at some point I started thinking about the cooks there though, and I was like, I should not like nonchalantly mention to them that I eat some of it because they because they might throw it in the garbage and then go, oh, I was supposed to save that for John, and then pull it out of the garbage.
Hey, listen. That's the price you pay. Like,
yeah,
listen,
I know.
there is
But I know what happened.
things
Like,
have to change hand in there. You don't
got the
have
one-
300 pounds of burger in your freezer. Just
Yeah. We got
listen,
the one
you got to pay a penance. And if that meat went in the trash first, you got to accept it.
Yeah, we got the one cook with the dip in his mouth that spits in the trash can or something. Like, I don't want that.
Well, I guess
I'm
you
okay
don't
if
want
there's
300
like
pounds of meat in your freezer.
Yeah, I don't want that meat. I don't want that meat. I want the meat that maybe they pulled out of the trash that, like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it was on some carrot shavings or something, but like not the dip, chew, spit meat. I don't want that. No, I don't ever think it was like that. But it was fucking awesome because I was getting all this meat. And then we also bought a cow that year.
Right.
Half. We bought half. I don't remember if we bought a half or a full, to be honest with you. It was a lot. I remember that. It was the year Alex, it was 2021 when Alex was born. And it was like 5 days before he was born that I drove way up north to Vermont and I went to West Glover, Vermont. Way up there where they marry your sister, like fucking up there, you know, and bought half a cow. I think it was half. And it was pretty good. I was kind of pissed actually because the meat tasted good, but you could tell that the butcher fucked up and didn't age it right. And then I later on did the math on when she said it went to slaughter and when he said it was ready. And there was no way it was aged longer than 9 days. And I was fucking not happy about that. So, because I had like kind of semi-tough ribeyes, and that should never be a thing. You know what I mean?
Well, that could also be a slaughter thing. That could also just be the cow.
Okay.
Because I only age 7.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, I also break mine into 8s. Like
Okay.
when I slaughter them, I break the whole animal into 8s.
Yeah.
So that way there's more surface area, everything can break down a little bit quicker and get ready to cut.
Sure, not that. I'm sure he was hanging fucking.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean max 9 days. So in the best case scenario, it was 9 days. You know, like if he killed it that fucking day that she brought it, which they probably do, right? And because you know they don't have holding areas, and then what? And then called me as soon as it was ready, I guess, or no.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I did this math at the time, but when I picked it up, it wasn't quite frozen yet. So there was that. So,
yeah, I always make sure of that.
Yeah, but, you know.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Well,
it tasted great, but, you know.
Now I have good news for you.
What's up?
You know me now.
Yeah, I know. I just started buying some meat from a local dude, too, though, that, like, my mechanic kind of introduced me to. No, it's fine. I'll buy meat from you, too. I eat a lot of meat. This dude comes to me the other day with his older guy, you know, and I'm sure just like, and I'm fine with this. He's probably raising his cows like it's 1950, you know, that's what I want actually. Cause I'm not the full grass fed thing to me. It's too much. I'm good. You know, it's too gnarly. I eat all the fat. Yeah. I eat all the fat. So it's like, it fucking tastes like grass. And I'm like, I eat the fat cause I like it. I don't want to not like the fat, you know?
Right.
So I don't want full grass fed. I want some cow that was out on a nice pasture in season, you know, most of the time, and then free choice grain or whatever they do. You know, I don't want a CAFO finished cow either, you know, which they're not doing that. Like if you're just some guy with cows, you're not doing that.
No, and that's such a big stigma when it comes to it. Like it's everyone knows the clip words or like the clip sentences of like grass fed, organic, this, and it's like you don't understand what's behind that word. Like what laws make that word mean what it does.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same. Like it's all of the stuff you see that's like crazy marbled grass fed.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah. Some of it, I will admit, absolutely is on some of the smaller farms and stuff.
Oh, yeah. That. Well, because you got to let it go.
They have really good pastures and stuff. But
and it's time, right? It's way more time, right?
Way more time
or something.
And like you have to raise them in a climate that they can just eat and get fat. Like,
where that fucking time exists
here? No, none. Yeah, there is no time.
That time is snow here, so that's not you know. So and you're not going to buy enough grass to go that time. You know, hay form or whatever. Which even I would assume isn't even going to get them there, right? Because now it's dried out. Like,
well, no, it does. It does.
Okay, all right.
And it's like I buy round bales. I'm hoping we also hay our field. Our field sucks. Like, this property was a horse farm like a while ago.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't get taken care of for 5-6 years. And I've been doing I've hated the last 3, and I'm taking some like steps to really try and change it. I've been looking into I heard, what is it, biochar.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to Jack Spirko talk about it, like a whole bunch of different podcasts, trying to kind of like figure it out. And
I've kind of got a little of that going on. Now,
all right.
Well, okay. What that means is I have all the stuff.
Right. Yeah. No.
And I haven't had the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I also tan hides.
There we go. I drove to the Adirondacks to buy 30-gallon drums. That's how committed I was to getting the shit. So I'm the barrel guy, like right, or whatever. Somebody mentioned that. So we're Dowie Farms. We're also S&H barrels, and so I can't get 30-gallon removable lid drums, metal drums. They're just like, although I did find a couple locally the other day, which there's a lead there, which might turn into more. So, turns out, maybe I shouldn't even say this, but I'm sure there's going to be a local rush on them if I say this right.
Definitely not.
Boat repair places may or may not have them. Like, they don't have a lot. They get them here and there, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I had to go get barrels up in Alton Bay from a marina, and had to, meaning like they offered me free barrels, and I went, yeah, all right. And then I got there and they weren't what I thought, which sucked. But in my travels through their little workshop, when I was going to pick some stuff out, or pick up some barrels they left out, I saw 2, and I was like, oh, what are those all about? Are they empty? And they were like, no, we just got them. And I was like, well, what is it, like oil or something? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, look, I'm going to give you my number. Like, I need you to call me when those are empty. I will come up and like just pick up 2 fucking barrels. It's an hour and a half away. So I'm going to start making calls to marinas or boat repair places. Yeah. And see if I can get them. But I had to drive to the friggin' Adirondacks to get 14 of them, I think. And they're not even great. They're thinner metal than you would expect. And they were from an old pharmaceutical company from like the 80s. So they're clean, but like, there you go. These ones are clean. He had other barrels too that I ended up taking that were like 18 gallons that still have residue from like penicillin or some shit.
Oh God.
Or like, then there's like beeswax, or not beeswax, but it's a beeswax type. Like, it's like a beeswax analog that they use.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. I can't remember the word. It's safe enough, whatever. But so there's another guy here in town that I gave him a setup, like a 30 and a 55 and a fucking ton of wood. And I was like, let's get this going, dude. You got the time. And I don't, and I don't know if he's done it. I haven't reached back out to him. It's been weeks, but I also get from a Dovetail drawer place every week.
Yeah.
Anywhere between like 6 and 12 55-gallon drums full of hardwood cutoffs. And I'm like, I could just start a biochar thing. Like,
no, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? I just don't have time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it from a couple different angles, because I'm looking at it from getting my pastures back to like where they need to be. But I'm also looking at it because I've been looking into making biochar out of bone.
Yep.
I have a ton of bones all the time. And that would actually solve a problem for me of like getting rid of waste material.
Yeah.
And being able to use it.
Do you sell stock or bone broth?
No, I don't sell anything just because I'm custom exempt. So the only meat I can cut is like that person's animal.
Okay.
But yeah. So
I've got connections with commercial kitchens, obviously. So So it's like, hey,
all right,
let's start making bone broth. The mushroom guy that I work with has a commercial kitchen. The guy that grows mushrooms over in we're in Kingston.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Dunks, you know him?
No.
He was in Danville. Then he bought on 125 in Kingston.
Oh yeah. No, I lived on. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like what's across the street? You would know it. I don't remember. Whatever. He's up there. He's up almost on the Brentwood line up that way.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
He's up towards that end. So, yeah, he's got a commercial kitchen. He does bone broth for someone else now, like for maybe Vernon Family Farm or something.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but you said bones. Oh shit, I'm always looking. But no.
So I'm looking at it from the aspect of doing that, and then also my neighbors own a construction and excavation company, and they just invested in a sawmill.
Oh,
so
cool.
They can start milling all their own lumber.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of there. Yeah.
They just have piles of cutoffs, and they're like, "We'll come stack them. Like, we'll just bring you stacks." And then also they get a shit ton of wood chips that local wood processors will just drop off. How far away are you?
How far away are you? I could take some cutoffs too, for heat.
Yeah. So it's like, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I'm almost in like a weird perfect storm of like, it'd be dumb to not do biochar.
Oh, yeah. Because now here's the thing. So I watched, I think, I can't remember his name. He's a semi-famous permaculture guy. Semi-famous. So whatever on YouTube. It's going to be a weird name. It's not like Paul Wheaton or something, but I think he just did a Kickstarter add-ons, and one of the add-ons was this guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Anyway, he just bought like a homestead or something, like right next to his grandmother or something. He has got a whole video series on it, and he was doing biochar in a pit. So I'm just thinking, like, with your limit of time, right, and land, and the availability of like kind of the same situation I'm in, where the feedstock for the biochar is like, who gives a shit because it's just going to be there, right?
Right.
Fucking dig a hole. Right, and just start burning shit and then cover it, and then reseed. I don't know if that's an option. I don't know if you want to do that though, because I don't.
So do you want to know how far this has already escalated? With me, just because I went over to my neighbors and like said, "Hey, like I have this idea. Like, what do you guys think?" And I was talking to his wife, and she's awesome. So we're talking about it. She's like, "Yeah, we'll come over and stack it at your house."
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "So how do you do it?" And I was explaining a retort and like how to do all that. And I was like, "I think I'm going to start with like, I have some older like propane cylinders, but like the bigger ones that I could fit like a 55-gallon drum in kind of thing." And I was like, "All right, like that would be cool." And she goes, "Here, come over here. I want to show you something." I'm like, "Okay." And we walk over, and she walks me over to it's like a tanker, like that would be like hauling milk or like gasoline or something, like one of the huge water tankers.
Water tanker, yeah.
Could this come in? Like, could you use this? And I was like, I had like a moment of like hands over the eyes, like I see a massive retort that could hold 4 55-gallon drums, 4 pig shelters, and like I broke the whole thing down while it was sitting. Like I see everything.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I'm like, I can't. There's no way I can. I haven't even done it once. I'm not going to say, yes, I'm going to take that. Like,
yeah, that's a lot of biochar. That's good though. I mean, because it's not going to like.
Doesn't go bad.
Well, and if it's not good by itself, it's not going to fix your pad. You need to seed, right, or something.
I need to seed again, and it just needs to be worked.
Is it like, what happens, like invasive stuff?
No, we've got a decent amount of invasive. Like, I need to put some lie down and stuff, like to get rid of that. I need to aerate it. Just all the normal stuff. I just haven't had the time, ability, or money to do it.
And it's probably how much land are you talking about?
I think it's around. We've pastured off some, so now it's probably 9 acres.
That's
like 8 acres.
A significant piece of land. Yeah, you got.
Oh yeah, I mean, last year we got 140 bales off of it, so like not a ton, but it was something. Like I fed for a while off of our land, which was nice. But even like the guy who mowed it was like, you could get 600 bales off this easy. Yeah, like. And it was like, if you let me do it, I was like, I trust me, I would love to. I would love to have you do this for me, but I just can't.
It's just not producing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So we're getting there and we'll figure it out. But yeah, no, I was thinking about doing something with biochar and feeding it to the pigs, and also like, again, to help with that, keep some of like the smell down with the pigs. And then I can just go in there and with a tractor and pull all that manure out that's already full of biochar.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can't you make biochar out of like manure, like dried manure too, or something?
Probably.
I think that's a thing.
But how long have you ever had pigs? There's no such thing as dry pig manure.
Yeah, no, I will never have pigs. So
I love them.
But I'll never have anything on a hoof. I just don't.
Not your thing. I get it.
That shit.
I'm struggling with the question of if I'll ever have poultry again.
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever a farmhand and a bigger piece of land, I mean, maybe, but I don't have that kind of focus.
It's a lot.
But yeah, I mean,
it's so much commitment.
Yeah, I like the people that are like, why don't you get a dairy goat or something? I'm like, fuck you. You don't have to milk that like twice a day. Like, that's crazy. I'm not milking stuff.
We'll never have dairy.
I grew up around that. I don't want to deal with that. Like, and I just, like, I see a lot of people now. I know it's different now, but like, I see a lot of people lose money, with cattle and whatnot. Like, I went out, even like, I don't know. I'm not an expert on cattle, but I was going to farms in the fall last year because I was going to buy another half cow and I didn't want to get them from the place where I got them before, right? Because I wasn't thrilled with it and it's a lot of money. So I was going around and I ended up at this place in Maine and she was talking about fertilizer and I'm like, you've got fucking
where in Maine?
Right on the border, kind of. Not too on the other side of Dover, so like Somersworth area.
Oh yeah.
But not New Hampshire over there. Like maybe like 5 miles north of there. So I don't know. She was a fucking weirdo. She started talking to me about illegal immigrants and shit in Portsmouth, and I was out. So I'm like, I don't need to talk about this with you, lady. So it's kind of a weird thing to bring up with your customers anyway. So like, hey, let's talk about illegals in Portsmouth and how they're ruining New Hampshire. And I'm like, that's not what's fucking ruining New Hampshire. So the 9 illegal immigrants that came in through Portsmouth last year, that's not the problem. So like, anyway, but she was talking about buying fertilizer because we were talking about the fertilizer prices because the Ukraine, the Ukraine scam. So that whole fucking thing. So, but I'm like, can't you just paddock shift and not have to fertilize? Like, isn't that a thing? And she's just like, no. And I'm like, all right, sure.
Gotcha. I will defend her slightly.
Yeah. It's maybe no right away, right? But there's got to be a way to get there.
Yeah. No, there is for sure, but it's a scaling issue. Like, if you already have the infrastructure for one way of doing things. Rotational grazing is a lot. Like, I'm in the process of like at the beginning of it with my pigs.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, you can't just fucking make it happen right away.
No. Because you'll screw everything. Like, so my plan with the field is I'm essentially going to be haying it, like doing a first cut, and then just moving animals across it. For the next couple of years. Like that's all I'm doing right now is just building infrastructure because it's crazy. Like, so the
even
pigs
on
have been making us more money. So we've moved over to like that pasture, but I just did it's right around 3-acre pasture, but for this year and probably next, like they're just going to have the 3 acres and just free roam. Like, I'm not going to worry about really moving them and rotating them for now because I'm like, we've got too much shit to do. Like,
I get it. You got to pick when it comes to infrastructure, especially, you have to pick your battles. Like, we have I know earlier I said like we're 7/10 of an acre and then 1,000 square feet, and it's like infrastructure. Last year I was like, this is an infrastructure year at home, like because we're transitioning out of poultry and moving more towards just like gardens and I want to move more towards who's that? Eric Tosenmeyer in Massachusetts. It does he has like 1/10 of an acre and they grow like a massive amount of food.
Oh yeah.
Not that small, actually. I think it's 2 properties, but anyway. And I'm like, I have this small space really. Like, it's not big, it's not small. Like, I know some people are like, I only have 1/4 of an acre. 7/10 would be huge, but I grew up where there's land. So to me, it's a very small
Right.
piece of property, but it's big enough for gardens and this and that, having different areas, you know? So having poultry be your thing on that small of a piece of land, that's not a smart approach.
Yeah, like I think my pit where my pigs are now is
Yeah.
like an acre.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I want to move towards it's basically 5 suburban lots or 5
All right.
city lots, you know, with like, because to me, I look at it, I compartmentalize it. So
Right.
I have what I call tomato land, right? And that is a 10 by 20 greenhouse frame, like a metal tube style greenhouse frame. Like it's like 3-inch metal, which is
Right.
nice. And it came with all the shit, but I only wanted the frame. And then I hung like a PVC and EMT conduit grid from the top. And I did the strings for the tomatoes, right?
Right.
So I did that last year. We got the tomatoes in late because I was fucking busy and I was doing stuff backwards. I actually planted all the tomatoes and then put the greenhouse structure up. But anyway, and then put irrigation in last. That was smart. So, but anyway, I can get 70 tomatoes in that space, which is crazy. It's only 10.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at that thing and I'm going, oh, on the south side of it is an oak tree. So that kind of fucks up some opportunities, but there's some other opportunities there, right? I can trellis this, you know,
Right.
and I can grow some other shit.
Ends.
Yeah. And it's like, so I'm looking at taking these little sections and turning them into like high intensity production, like vertical and everything, you know?
That's awesome.
And just slowly, like to the point where we have a handful of ducks, maybe even like 4, you know, because ducks are so damaging a lot of times.
Oh my God.
And then chickens, I'm going to do chickens still. And I'm going to do a fair amount, but I'm going to do it like I've got 1/10 of an acre in downtown Derry, right? So I'm going to get the small, douchey looking chicken mom style hutch. You know what I mean? That looks like a fucking house. I hate those, but whatever. And I'm going to put one way over in the corner of the property. And there's going to be 4 American breast chickens in there. And they're going to lay eggs. And I'm going to hatch those eggs. I'm going to sell day-old chicks on deposit basis. Like I'm only going to have what's already sold, you know? And then I'll do 2 other breeds maybe in different, hutches. And they're not going to, or coops. And they're not going to be out. You know, they'll be out when we're not gardening, you know, in the off seasons. They'll be out when they're not breeding and we're not gardening. They'll be out, you know, but when they need to breed and when we have shit that we don't want them to eat, they'll be in. And I know that kind of sucks because they'll be pseudo free range and they'll be kind of pissed at me for a couple of weeks, but you're a fucking chicken. Get over it.
Yeah, so, it is what it is. Like,
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, because I run into this with sometimes where my wife's like, I want them out and to do this. And it's like, that's not what they're for.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're an animal and they have blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They are also livestock that are not only going to be producing food for you, producing income for you in some instances, but they're also like managing your pasture or doing this or doing that. They're here for a specific reason.
They're doing a job. I mean,
exactly.
And is that Salatin? Everything has to have a job or whatever. Is that him?
I think so. Yeah.
But like, it's true. And so I've learned in doing this small scale poultry thing, so years ago, I did the one episode I did on the Survival Podcast was profitable duck farming, like eggs on small property. And yes, that was profitable at the time.
Right.
In 2014, that was or 15, that was profitable. It's not. You can't make money on you can't make money. Bring it.
Do it, Canadian farmers. Do it.
I love fucking PETA to show up at my house. So
make my day.
They only show up at places where guys like you and I aren't. Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fucking come on over. So like anyway, so back then you were $10.50 for 50 pounds of duck feed, you know, or something.
Right.
And I had new ducks, and yes, you can make money if you're going to process your ducks out. And then the hard part about that is ducks will lay longer than chickens, significantly longer, because ducks have more eggs to start as a bird. They have I don't remember the numbers, but if a chicken has 1,500 eggs, a duck has 2,500 or something, right?
Yeah, I know. Josh talked about that on.
Yeah,
he did a rundown of the top 5 tiny homestead animals or small homestead animals, and he brought that up there. It's ducks will lay for
much longer,
6 years.
Yep, exactly.
Like, consistently.
And I get people to call me.
You're lucky to get 2, especially up here.
Yeah, I get people to call me all the time. Do you have any old ducks though? They were looking for meat, and I go, no, we don't do that. And they're like, but do you have any old ducks that aren't laying anymore? And I go, yeah, they're fucking 9. Like, what are you gonna eat?
Right.
You know, they were a layer duck in the first place because we bring in Metzer Farm 300, the golden and white hybrid layers.
Right.
And now they're 7 or 8 years old, and they're only laying 50 eggs a year, or whatever. And and they want to eat them. And I'm like, there was no meat on them when they were in their prime, because like,
right.
I got the Metzer Farm hybrid layers.
Right.
The first year I learned about them, basically. I think it was like 2017. I got those for the first time. And I got straight runs because I wanted to know, like, can I process these males? Is it worth it? And I was paying a guy out in Milford to do it. And I was $12 a bird to process. They were 6 months old, and I got 4-pound carcass back, 4 to 4.5 pound carcasses, which, what are we, 40% bone or something like that? So like,
I stopped processing my egg birds, like my culls.
What's the point?
Right in the compost. I didn't care. Like,
you should use those. You should use those to rehab your field. But anyway,
exactly.
Just start setting up retirement pens and let them shit and eat. So and don't feed them.
Just set up like what is it? The friggin' cockfighting where they just have the 55-gallon drum with like the rooster on a string. Just just fill my field with single chickens.
I got barrels. So no, but like we didn't want to process. We never really wanted to process out the layers. We're like, we'll let them retire on the farm. And if you Google search how long does a duck live, it's a fucking lie. It says like 7 years, right?
Yeah, no.
And or 7 to 9, I think is what it says. Last year, I had a 12.5-year-old duck die because it got attacked by another bird, meaning like it was a raven that attacked it.
Well, so oh my god,
that duck would probably still be here. Okay, so like maybe we're just doing something right, or maybe ducks will live for fucking ever. So like, if you want to go into ducks to make money, you've got to hatch and sell. You can't go, I'm going to do eggs and make money. We're selling duck eggs for $12 a dozen right now, and we don't make money, No. And it's like, and then I see all these other assholes online. Oh, duck eggs, $6 a dozen. I'm like, have fun losing fucking $7 a dozen, whatever you're doing there.
My wife looked at me the other day and she's like, why do we do this? This sucks. We don't make any money. I was like, I don't have an answer for you.
I run through the same. Even with the greens, like our microgreens business is booming, and
that's awesome.
We're like, I work 100 hours a week on it, and that's partially because I don't want her to work a lot on it because I want her to stay home with the baby because that's what she wants to do, and that's what I wanted to do too.
Right.
So, and it's working out because he's 2 and he's smarter than he should be. So like, it's all paying off, in that sense. But we have. It's about 1,000 square feet. I have a 600 square foot room I'm in here. Well, this is the office-y part. We package in here, and there's 4 refrigerators in here. And then in the other side of this wall is the other, 480 or something. And there's a lot of grow racks out there. I can't even remember anymore. I lose count. I think I got 240 spaces of self-watering, right? So I plant 220 a week, 10, 20 trays. In the other room, behind the monitor. And so we had to move planting into another room is the whole thing. So like, and then we run 2 delivery routes a week, and we have harvest a few days a week, and everything gets cut, washed, dried, refrigerated. And then we do custom orders and everything. So it's like, it's a lot of work. And I have recently started kicking around ideas on how can I streamline this process a little more, do I stop offering custom because we went after bigger restaurants, and they're not ordering fucking 2 ounces of this and 1 ounce of that. They're getting 8-ounce packages and whatever. And I don't want to be the dick that goes, I don't fucking need the small ones anymore. But it's kind of true. But
no, it absolutely gets to that point, and it's like I feel that when it comes to deer season for me. Because I had to make a decision last year on whether or not I was going to take deer from opening archery to end of the season. And I couldn't. I took deer for 2 weeks last year. I still did like 25 by myself, maybe 30. Like, I don't even remember how many I did in that time, but it was like, I can't take that much time away from my livestock customers, where it's all of a sudden I'm having such a bigger influx of doing pig, especially in the fall, doing pigs. Like, the turnaround on pigs is so crazy that it's like, I can't afford to turn away 2 300-pound hang weight pigs because I got to cut up like 6 80-pound hang weight deer.
Yeah,
Like,
I could.
It's like, I can't.
I've never shot a deer in my life, which makes me less of a man. And,
Well, it doesn't, because neither have I.
I just don't have. I didn't. When I was a kid, I didn't want to do it. Honestly, I shot a fucking squirrel when I was a kid, and I felt terrible because it didn't die. It fucking wouldn't die. I just shoot it like 8 times. I'm like, what's the point now? You know?
You want to know what's way worse? You want to know what's way worse than that?
What?
Shooting a pig in the face and not having it die.
No thanks. No thanks.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, it's.
No. I had to put a duck down 2 years ago. They got like fly strike or something.
Yeah.
It had like maggots, you know, and it had a wound. I didn't catch it in time, whatever. And I shot it, which I know makes no sense, but that's what was going on at the time. I didn't have cones and stuff set up, and it was a pet basically at this point. And I can answer that question in a second. Yeah. So I had to shoot it, and the fucking duck moved at the last second.
Yeah.
And it didn't take the shot right, and it was still alive. And then the gun fucking jammed.
Oh, it always does. That's always the worst.
Yeah.
That split second, or it feels like 10 hours between shot, miss, reload.
Yep. That duck, I ended up just having I slit its throat with my dull fucking jackknife because, like, I couldn't get the gun work right.
I would have suggested that one in the first place.
Yeah, I know. That gun, that fucking 22 lives in the river now next to my house. But anyway, the quail question there. Ready to start doing quail? Anybody know the lifespan? In my experience, because I never killed anything, was so my quail lived in an aviary, so I didn't do cages. If you're going to do cages, I wouldn't recommend trying to let quail live their life out because it's not really.
It's I would do mine, and like, again, it's like
I did the Texas Prepper 2 domes and set them up for quail. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I got out of quail too, and that's part of the reason. So I would your lifespan on a quail is like 18 to 36 months, and I know that's a big range, right? So,
but it makes sense.
You put them out there. We're also in New Hampshire, so it's going to depend on where you are. Okay. I had them out on the ground in an aviary setting, and they got eaten by fucking rats.
Everything.
They get these little weird balls of shit on their feet because the corn from the feed gets on the ground and it gets a little wet and then sticks to their feet, and then it builds off itself. And then when you break those off, it's the worst smell on the planet. So, Brad Davies, the guy that Jack talks about on his show about the Moon Valley Prepper, that guy.
Yeah.
His process on quail is where it's at. All right. So I don't think he keeps his quail for longer than like 4 months. He's fast.
God, no.
Yeah. He's like, so, you know, we all know what egg is.
They start laying at like 8 weeks. Like
egg to egg is 10 weeks. So like put it in the incubator. And now you're getting a new egg out of that egg is 10 weeks, I think.
Right.
And I think it's 6 months where he processes actually, now that I think about it. But
like to think about it, I raised quail for a while, and it's like, that makes complete sense. You could absolutely do that and have a decent turnover.
Yeah. So we put them out. We didn't kill them, and we just put them out in an aviary, and we got what we got for eggs. And then you go out there and there'd be a dead bird, you know, whatever. And I don't know so I never did the work to try to figure out exactly how long they were living, but I did actually, that's not 100% true. I did ban some quail one year, which I also fucking advise against because the band sizing is wrong. No matter what you get, it's wrong. And I had legless fucking quail eventually. So, but I did have some that, you know, 2 years later, I'm like, oh my God, there's a yellow band on that quail's leg. I can't believe that thing's still alive. So my guess is 2.5 years on the life expectancy of a quail, maybe 3, but
if I would say, if you're raising them for meat,
if you're raising them for meat,
if you're raising for meat, 8 weeks tops.
Yeah. If you're raising for dual, purpose.
dual.
So 8 weeks is 2 months. So
Yeah.
6 months tops, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think he was getting like, I want to say he was getting like 2 hatch cycles, and then he would process out everything.
That's not bad.
Something like
Like
that.
that's smart.
Yeah. And man, he was cranking out food. That guy right there, he's a guy. He's a guy that I wish would do a little more of this, interview type stuff, because he's a pit of knowledge. Like, he's the reason for my microgreen system.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of this shit. Like, he does clones. Okay.
Yep.
There's a word, for non-tomato growers. And us people that don't do that call them cuttings. But anyway, so right, he does those things, and it's legal where he does it. He lived in Michigan, it was like 24 plants every however long the time interval was. He could sell to a dispensary, so he was doing that, making really good money. And he he's an indoor kind of guy, grower, but he's a hunter. He has a fucking property up in the UP, I think, and he's a fisherman. Right. He works on electronics. He's like, guy knows everything. So he kind of was like at my he was at my microgreens class I did at Jack's one year, and he's like, dude, you need to set up self-watering and flood tables. They make low tide flood table. I'm like, you're fucking speaking some other language, dude,
right.
And then he kind of showed me all the stuff, and then we worked it out together.
Nice.
But like, because he hadn't built a microgreen system with these things, he just knew this stuff worked. So I got low tide flood tables, 2 foot by 8 footers. And then we, went from, are we going to do PVC as a big shelf? And I was like, we scrapped that idea, because PVC, if you really start doing the math, you might as well buy restaurant wire racks, and they're more adjustable, whatever. Yes. Rachel always gives me shit for not actually
yelled at me because of you today.
I want to do more videos, but like, I just fucking have things that happen. Like,
I get it, dude. You don't got to. You do not have to explain that to me.
Yeah, every week I message my buddy that I was doing videos with. Yeah. I want to say, we were doing videos together. There's like 3. So not really. Right. So, and he's like, he's always moving. This guy that I do these other shows with, he's always like, he's got an apartment he rents out or something. Yeah. And then he's like, I'm moving back into the apartment. I'm moving back into the house. Like, what the fuck, man?
No, dude, because I keep up with it consistently. It's a lot. Like, getting it all figured out, and then just doing the talking. Like, having to talk to no one about something. Yeah. While you're doing it.
I feel that if I did more microgreens videos, they'd just be ridiculously repetitive, even though I know there's plenty of things I can still cover. Part of my issue is that I don't remember what the fuck I already did. So,
well, I'll catch myself on that so much when I'm like,
I know a lot of people don't care either.
No, and it's, I mean, because I have this like anxiety complex that there's just too much time lapse in my videos, and it's like, it's maybe like, it's a decent amount, but it's for what I'm doing. I want to be able to show everything I can. Yeah. And in order to do that, it's got to be time lapsed, because I'm editing down 3 hours of video into a 40-minute clip.
And the editing is bad. It's so much. That's the problem. So recently,
I also do enjoy it, but I'm a masochist. So I'm like,
you enjoy editing, huh? Yeah, you are.
I do a little bit. I do.
That's fucked up. I mean, I don't hate it. It's just I don't have the time. Like, so people need to understand, if you're gonna make a 15-minute instructional video on anything, okay, you're gonna spend like 2 hours shooting it, and then you're gonna spend no, you don't want that. Yeah, maybe you do.
Jack Spearco.
Could you imagine it would be fucking the Jon Dowie Road Rage podcast. So 15-minute instructional video is at least 2 hours of editing or shooting. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then it depends on what you're doing. Yeah. And then it's probably an hour of editing. And then it's another hour to get that thing out. Like, so when you see 15 minutes of edited content, like high production value content, it's like 3 or 4 hours total, And I read that as AIDS real quick when I looked at it, which would be really weird.
Listen, you can barely tell anymore with the new medication that's out. So I'd appreciate it if we don't talk about it.
Yeah, right. Man, I don't even know.
No, it's a
Do
lot.
people still get AIDS? Is that a thing?
What was that?
I said, do people still get AIDS? Is that a thing, or did Fauci get rid of it?
Not anymore.
So,
no. So it's like, because now I'm starting to have to dive in. Now I'm starting to dive into, all right, I've already put up at least one video of me slaughtering, breaking down. Like,
Yep.
I've done beef, pigs. I did a goat. I haven't done lambs yet. But like, there are a couple videos each of me doing that. So now I'm breaking down into like, I just did a thing on ham of just like, all right, I have free reign to cut these however I want. So we're going to make it as economic as possible and show you all the different varieties. Because that's always the biggest question I get when I am filling out cut sheets with people. It's like, well, what can you get out of it? And I was like, all right, cool, make a video. Like,
I was just going to say the cut sheet is the first time I had to do it. It's the most, it's you don't understand 60% of it. And I'm a guy that knows stuff, like about this. And you're really the thing about a cut sheet is you're afraid to fuck it up because it's so much money. Like for somebody's home budget, like a half a cow is like your beef budget for the year,
So I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Am I going to fuck up the whole beef budget for the year right now with one piece of paper? So it's like, that's the thing.
It sucks.
It's trepidation.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. 90% of butchers,
they just do what they want.
Well, no. Like the cut sheets are not made for the customer. They are not made for the customer to understand. They're for us to understand. Yeah. Because do you want to know how often I look at the cut sheet? Quite often. And I just go, and then I'm back to the bench. Like, so it's one of those things where I'll admit, like, it's not designed for my customers. I fill out 90% of my cut sheets for customers. Like, I'll sit down and talk them through it. And what are you doing? What are you getting?
Yeah, but
what do you eat?
I've never had that. I filled out a dozen cut sheets.
I'm special.
And I've never had that. I've always had, here's our cut sheet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I know. And again, that's a lot of people just going, all right, here you go. Have fun.
Yeah, now I know what I'm doing, so it's okay. But like, there was the first 4 I filled out. I'm like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. And I actually just made I don't know, actually, it wasn't a mistake. This guy I found that's local, doing the 1950s cows, to get back to that. That's what I'm going to call it. And so he came to me with his price list. And I was like, he goes, I want to show you my price list. And I know you're going to say it's too cheap. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Probably. So he shows me his cut list and I'm like, yeah, it's fucking way too cheap. He's getting like $10.50 a pound for ribeyes. Right. Which is like $6 cheap, probably.
What?
Right. And I go, dude, now he's getting like $6 a pound for his ground. So I'm like, that's fine. All right.
I mean, but still, that's almost
prime cuts
right now.
Yeah, your prime cuts, like, dude, you got to get those up. Maybe if you want to do something like this, offer a couple of prime cuts for less, but don't. Ribeyes are where it's at. Yeah. So I immediately said to him, I said, I go, yeah, it's too cheap. You should be getting like $16 a pound for your ribeyes at least, Yeah. And he's like, and he doesn't want to do it. And I know what his mentality is, and I'm not going to fight him, right? I'm just telling him, look, dude, you can get a lot more money for this. But then I said, so you're going to charge $10.50 a pound for ribeyes? And he said, yeah. And I said, when are you cutting another one up? And he's like, tomorrow. And I go, I'll take the whole fucking thing. He goes, no, just the whole ribeye. I just want the whole thing. I want a whole loin. I go, you don't even have to slice it for me. He's, oh no, I'll cut it up into cuts. How thick do you want them? I go, 2 inches.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, no. And I'm like, yes, fucking 2 inches, Then he brought them to me, man. And they're the fucking, the plates, perfect. They're huge. Now, it's interesting because I told him, I said, don't cut anything out. Don't trim it. Like, I don't want.
So wait, did he give you the whole rack?
The whole, like.
Or just the rib primal?
Okay. I wish I had one here. I did like 2 days ago. There's the bone, the real
tomahawk. You had a tomahawk.
Sorta. Yes, but he got some of the bone off. It's kind of weird.
So it's more of a cowboy then. So cowboy is like you have this much bone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, there's another small section of bone.
That's gonna get clipped.
What?
Me going, you have that much bone.
And me going, yes.
And I did it again. So
absolutely. That's too long.
Yeah.
So, half that.
That's way above average for bone.
So yeah, I have that. And They're fucking big though, man. And they're like, I don't know I'd say they're 14 inches wide if I just laid it down end to end. And then they're 10 inches the other way, right?
Yeah.
They're huge. And there's a section on there that I've never even seen, and it tastes a little gnarly. Like it's meat. And then when you get to the middle, maybe it might, is that meat? The cap?
It is, but it's not great.
Yeah. That would normally get cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him not to cut shit off because I wanted it all. Because really, what I wanted was.
So is it when you look at this, when you look at it? I'm trying to think about it.
Yeah, I wish I just had a picture.
It lays right on top, so it's like an extra piece on top of the steak.
Yes, exactly. Okay, yeah, he left that on. I still eat it. I don't give a fuck. So,
all right. Well, now you inspired me. I'm doing a rib video on.
Yeah, do it
Monday.
That's great. So then I'll know what I'm talking about. So I just said to him, I said, look. I want the whole loin, and I don't want you to trim that big fat cap off.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? When you're making a prime rib and they cut that off, stop it, first of all. Anyway, so, and I know every chef is like right now, you have to cut that. Fuck you. You don't have to cut that off. That's ridiculous. Eat it. Eat it like a man. So,
what video did I grind a whole ribeye?
What's that?
I don't. Haas down here says, can't believe in that one video Kyle did he ground it all? I'm like, I don't remember that.
Oh
I mean, if it was an old dairy, I can.
Oh yeah. There's a place, Ilsley Farm does that. They they process out some stuff. But anyway, so I got these steaks, man, and I got the whole ribeye, and it was only like 8 steaks. That's how thick they are.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good.
It's so good.
I have to kind of aim for medium almost when I cook them because I need to render the fat. They're so thick, you know. But I still get rare in the middle. The good part.
Have you thought about like reverse searing them?
Well, I don't know what that is.
Like do them in the oven for a little while.
Oh,
like
no.
I
could. I got a sous vide.
Like
I could sous vide
and like just kind of, or even like, do you have a sous vide?
Yeah, I could do that.
Because if you have a sous vide, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I just haven't done it. I could do that. I've only eaten 2 of them
because then it opens you up to the options of now you can put butter and garlic and herbs and everything into the sous vide bag. Let that thing sit, pop it in like when you go to work at 120 or at like 115.
Yeah.
Let it cook in the sous vide all day and then come home and pull it out and just go and have it melt.
That's how I do my London broil. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I make a really good London broil marinade, and I do this sous vide. I do it at 120, I think, for like 6 hours, and then I just, whatever, cook it. I hit medium rare because usually if we're eating London broil, it ain't just me. Because if I'm gonna eat meat by myself, it's gonna be a fucking ribeye. I'm not gonna eat London broil by myself because I'm just a ribeye guy. Like even to me, even prime rib is a waste of time to me because you can't get enough sear and seasoning on it. You know what I mean? I just am not interested. Just slice that fucker up and let's cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rachel, I'll do my best.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That could be a whole.
That's a whole series.
That could be your most popular series too.
I know. I'm just thinking about that right now.
Everyday regular people are going to be looking for that, including me. I would have been looking for it.
Absolutely.
And you can do that on. You could break that down into so many videos because it can be how to fill out a cut sheet for and then each animal, right?
Yeah.
And then it can be here's an explanation of the cuts in general. Mm-hmm. And then like, here's a little deep dive on this one, like you got 150 episodes there.
Exactly. All right. Well, damn. So I guess that's starting next week, but we are coming up on an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
Fun conversation.
I'm the guy that'll talk to you for 3 hours. So
absolutely. And we're going to stop the live and we'll probably end up talking for another half hour, but
I do actually have a hard out. I have a hard out. Like I'm
no worries, man. That's
like I'm important. I feel like we didn't talk about anything.
No. Oh, absolutely. We could, between the two of us. So I first listened to you on Tim's show.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then I'm like, oh, he's in dairy? All right. And then I was thinking today on the way home, the kids were being nuts. Like it was just a hell gig. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a shit show. Because I'm in one of those moods. And I already know how John's going to be in a podcast. So we're just going to have fun with this.
Yeah. That's how Tim was like, come on the show. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he's like, I was like, what do you want to talk about? And he's like, I don't know. We're just going to go. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I can do that. That's fine. I mean, you do restaurants for 20 something years and you can
you can just talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Retail is that thing. So
yeah,
where can everyone find you?
I don't know.
All right. That's fine. I have
If you're
everything.
in New Hampshire,
Listen, I was trying to be professional.
No, it's fine.
know,
It's the
if
same
you're gonna
thing.
go ahead and spit on my show. No, I'm just kidding.
I need to have something, but I don't. Like, so we're doing. Oh, I'll talk about that. We're doing a fundraiser for Jenny Hill,
Nice.
because she has leukemia, and
Nice.
she's gonna have to not work or something. So that can be found. Fuck, I should have had this ready. I suck. Hold on, I have it. Just give me 2 seconds. But yeah, so she's got. It sucks. She has leukemia, and we're doing a couple different fundraisers. There's a GoFundMe, and I'm going to copy this. Can I copy this and put it on the
absolutely.
screen? Where do I put it? In private chat?
Yeah, you can put that in there. And then you can send it to me after the fact, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's easy. It's Jenny with an I Hill .livingfreeintennessee.com. And there's an auction there, and we got a bunch of stuff from the community. It's some really good stuff on there. And a lot of it doesn't even have bids. So you could probably just go in and be like, bam, there it is. And I used to know how to work StreamYard, but I don't know how anymore. But anyway, there's also a GoFundMe for her, and I will send that to you so you can put it in wherever. There is some
so that's in the comments now. So
cool. Oh yeah, right. I could have just went to the YouTube video, right?
No, actually, I think I can only post links.
Here's a GoFundMe link. Oh, okay. Copy. Here's the GoFundMe link. I'm going to send that now too. Perfect. So there's a GoFundMe and there's an auction. The auction is a lot of cool stuff. So there's like some stuff to Self-Reliance Festival. There's like a all-in pass for that. There's basically like a priority pass to you pick Jack Spirko's events. Mm-hmm. So like you could go to the fall workshop, and it's I think you're only paying $150 plus whatever you pay in the auction. So you're not paying the full $600. And that's good for like in the future too. You don't have to go this year. I've got some syrup package up on there. It's like a pint or a quart of maple. I think it's a quart of maple syrup with a mustard, a maple mustard, or an apple cider mustard that's made up here. It's all New Hampshire package. And maple cream, which is also known as maple crack. It's amazing, and it will kill you. It will instantly give you type 2 diabetes. So it's
you already got one, so you're halfway there.
Yeah, syrup guy is up in Pittsfield, and he's just like the best.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have that up there. There's some ammunition on there, maybe or not, and if that's allowed to be said, and if our YouTube overlords will allow us to say ammunition.
No one's watching me yet. Super exciting. I just hit 203 today for subscribers. So I'm like, damn.
Yeah, and I'm over at Dowie Farm on YouTube as well.
Yes. But follow them on that. All of your links you sent me earlier are in the show notes.
Cool.
So
I did that. And I'm on Nostr, but I'm kind of like on Nostr, and I get it, but I'm like, I'm not on there a lot.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
It's fine. It's easy enough to use. People should get on there. It is pretty easy. And that's it. But yeah, the Jenny Hill thing, the auction thing is really cool. We got that going. And then the GoFundMe, if you don't want to deal with an auction, you can just donate there. Any amount.
Yeah. No, and I'm kind of the same situation. I'm at Backwoods Butcher 603, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We do have a Nostr. I don't have my whatever the hell it is, because who would remember that?
Right? Someone's got to come up with the
if anyone out there is looking for another fun episode, I was on Josh the Renegade Butcher's podcast on Tuesday with Joe Blakesley and Tiffany Baxter, and we did like a Butcher's Roundtable. So that's over on the Renegade Butcher podcast. So that was super fun. It ended up just turning into a butcher therapy session towards the end of it, but it was a good time. So go over and check that one out as well. Well, everyone who is watching and who's going to listen after, I hope you got a chance to meet the critter.